Bannerlord can be a brutally hard game. Often you're outnumbered and massive armies march against you. Well, in this new series, we're going to work together, friends. What I want you to do is send me your difficult situations that you're either currently encountering in Bannerlord in your campaign, or something that you've dealt with in the past where you're just unable to solve it. I will do my very best to handle these difficult situations. I will share the results on YouTube, provided they have some kind of educational value for people. We will take on these difficult challenges, do some battlefield analysis, and hopefully help you turn around a very, very difficult battle. So join me on this adventure. Please send me your difficult situations. Have a little patience. I don't know how many there are going to be, but I'm willing to take these challenges on for you fellas as we handle your disasters of war. Alright, this is our guy here. Help revenge for me here. Let's go ahead and read this guy's email. Actually, let's go ahead and do this part first. Welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. And welcome back to another one of our episodes of Disasters of War here. Now, I'm going to put his email up on the screen, but I'm also going to paraphrase it here in case you don't want to pause and read it all. Basically, he says, I am at a loss of what to do. I want revenge. Here's my campaign problem. I got rid of some enemy nobles who kept attacking villages, but then they came and sieged like crazy, army after army. Now our garrisons are injured, and they killed my character. I got a kick out of that originally. I have never been so mad at a game before. My cities are out of food. My wife is now in charge. So I executed some more for fun, but no money, no food, all injured. What the hell am I supposed to do? So this guy's very angry. He says, take over for a few months and kill Northern Empire. This guy here, and he said his name is Jacob. So we're going to jump right into this guy's save game here. Very fun to do this, and this continues another one of our episodes, Disasters in War. We get save games from Patreon supporters, from you subscribers, and just general people. This guy actually made contact with Reddit. He said, I need some help. I've never been so furious at a video game before. And let's try to unravel some of his communication in that email here. His wife is in charge, he said. So, Bellathor. I like this guy already. So his wife is already executing people, I presume, is no longer the head. So Nadir Shah. This name is a historical name. That's kind of cool. Let's see if I can remember anything about that guy. It's sort of fuzzy right now in my head. Died of natural causes. He said he got killed by the enemy, I think. Let's see. He's certainly been doing the horizontal dance with his wife here. They got lots of kids, or at least he was. He's taken prisoner and died while being captive by the Northern Empire. So you know what this probably means here? And based on his email, and his anger, it sounds like they executed this guy. And this is why, right? He's going around Calradia with his Executioner's Act, right? Nikosor. I mean, he's basically, it looks like he's been just annihilating people for a while in this campaign. And if you don't know, of course, eventually, right, that catches up with you in Bannerlord. This is not advisable, but nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see if we can recover this. So his main character is executed or whatever, he's gone, and now his wife is in charge of the campaign. Very interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of that happening before, but here we are, and I love this. I wonder when she took over. It looks like she just took over, and she's already executing people. So maybe he went to the dungeon with her and just immediately started executing people. Just for fun, he says. We'll do some executions. All right, let's get serious, even though this shit is funny. Now, let's also make sure that Jacob is not put in charge of a small country anytime soon. Right? Let's keep this guy out of office based on the history we have learned here. Now, he said he was all injured, in addition, of course, to his main character passing away. He said his troops are injured, no money. basically a bunch of problems. So let's leave the email alone here and do a little bit of assessment of what's going on here. This is bad. You don't have to be a financial genius to understand this is a bad situation. He has 6,000 gold and a deficit of 4,000 a day, right? So he has a day and a half before he's broke, or I guess we'll say before she's broke. He's got some companions here and a whole lot of injured troops, and I remember him mentioning that. So there must be a food problem here. Vostrom. Let's check out his fiefs here. My brain is going in 6 different directions. Okay, so he has this city and Akasur Castle. Did I see that right? Minus 1,600. Okay, so Akasur Castle has a garrison that is highly net negative for this place. We'll have to look at that in a bit. Vostrom is also net negative, right? So he's got cities that are net negative. He's got this garrison here, and he's got a fairly large army. It's a nice looking army, right? It's kind of cavalry heavy. He didn't give any specific details of whether or not he wanted us to get, more troops from a specific kingdom. Sometimes guys say, hey, I don't want to have any Khazate units or something like that in my army. He wasn't specific about that. I did ask him on Reddit, and he listed his mods. And fortunately, most of the mods he's using are the same as ours here. So that part's going to be easy to pick up. Right away, we need money, though. Let's see. See if we can sell some of his shit here. He doesn't really have a lot to sell. He has almost no equipment, and this is probably because he got captured and executed, right? So we're really hoping and praying. Good. At least he has a bunch of stuff here in his stash. Very fortunate. But we're also not going to just immediately go pawn all of this guy's best stuff, or I guess we'll say this gal. This is his character here. We'll look at her in a second, but let's establish a financial foundation here. Minus 3,000 right now. I don't know how it changed. I'm not quite certain. It was minus 4,000. But let's sell a little bit of gear here. He's got extra horse armor. We're just going to do a few basic transactions here this is an obvious one, right? When you have a dented helmet, buy, right? We need money badly, these terrible looking helmets. Now, this is a good helmet, right? We're going to put this on, probably a companion or something like that. I don't want to just, take over somebody's campaign and sell all their shit, but look at this piece of armor. It's not that good, and it's worth 20,000, right? There is some equipment that it's sort of bang for your buck fiscally is worth selling, right? And we need the money. And amazingly, this city has a lot of money. So this is good enough for now. We'll actually keep the rest of that equipment in there. All right, so problem number 1, at least temporarily solved. He's running a deficit. That part is fixed. His influence is a problem, right? His total influence is hardly any. So is he a mercenary? Okay, so this guy's a vassal for Khazate, it looks like. Where's Khazate here? Yeah, this is part of the problem too. Not only that, they're up here sieging. So he's way the fuck down here at Vostrom, and he really is on an island here. There's no other Khazate forces nearby. Let's check out the diplomatic situation here. And geez, it'd be easier to list, the kingdoms he's not at war here with, right? The Khazate, let's see, the Khazate is at war with everybody except this little corner of the map. So this is a great episode. I'm actually tickled pink, tickled blue, choose your term, by this situation. We're surrounded by enemies. His character is hated. He's executing people. In fact, I'm curious, where's the Khan? Let's see if he's probably ruined relations with the Khan. Look at this shit, minus 33. The Khan is getting taken prisoner, and he hates us, hates Jacob. Evidently, he's going to keep playing as a female. I think some people would just save scum. I don't know. He didn't say, no save scumming or anything like that. Of course, for this series, we're not going to save scum. But this guy's got a lot of problems going on here, right? His city is starving. Look at the food stocks in the middle there, minus 105. So he has 0 food here, and evidently they're going to eat not just all the food, but they're going to eat tomorrow's food today. I'm not quite certain how that works. So we've got to figure out his food situation. He doesn't have enough influence to get peace. That means we're surrounded by hostiles. He's got all these little swords. It's almost like he kept them up here because he's proud of them. He kept... now we can get peace. We probably won't meddle much in diplomacy here because, of course, he doesn't have the influence to make any decisions. We can't do policies. He's painted himself into a corner, and once in a while I get a save game like this, and I can't help but wonder if it's made up. If someone out there is like, let's stump this tactical enlightenment fella, let's give him a brutal situation here. But I think this is legit, right? Just based on the emotion in his email. He's separated from the Khazate for whatever reason. Where's this Akazur castle? He's got this castle way up here with an expensive garrison, so there's probably high-end troops in there. There's 20 Khans guards and a bunch of other troops. That's a ways from us though, right? In the short term, we've got to figure out food. We have literally no food. How much food is in the city? There was no food in the stash, right? Let's try to pump some food into the city, because look at the expected change looks hilarious. You don't see something like that. It's like an error. It doesn't even fit on the line there, minus 105.91. I don't quite understand why that looks like that. And there's not a scrap of food in the whole city, and he has 27 little loaves of bread here. In fact, his whole army is going to be starving in 5 days without food. So we've got to find food. Of course, his villages, yeah, of course, they're all smoking. We had that one guy, he wrote in like a month ago and he said, all my villages are burned. His situation was almost as bad. This is about as bad as it gets, though. We need food badly. We're probably going to be attacked. Our garrison is injured. So these guys are not injured from battle, probably. These guys are probably injured because they don't have food, right? If your garrison runs out of food, they get injured. They enter this state. So, let's see. Let's also really quick orient ourselves to his character. To Bolat is his character. And this is about as bad as you could spec a character. But to Jacob's defense here, this is his wife. So he probably didn't spec her much. In fact, we've got a point to use here. And I'm just going to do this for you, Jacob. I mention this sometimes. We're going to put a point of athleticism and another point here, I think. Let's see. Bow, crossbow. It's a really weird character spec. I can't even imagine. I imagine you would do a two-handed weapon here, ride a horse, and shoot your crossbow, right? And then lead an army. It's a jack of all trades, spec here, perks 4-4-4-3-4-4. It's really unusual to have a character like this. I would recommend you guys specialize, because the bottom line is this will make you very mediocrely decent at everything and not great at anything. And that's not good, right? Because then you have no specialists. Your scouting is mediocre, your medicine skills mediocre, your fighting skills mediocre, etc. Now that's it, right? We're not judging people here. I'm not saying you're doing a bad job, Jacob. Just your wife here. In fact, I didn't see your main character, of course, because he's dead. But we're going to try this. This gal had a sword on, and we're just going to try a two-handed axe. Now, this is a very strange character spec. I don't know if I've ever had a character spec where they had a two-handed weapon and a crossbow with two. But this makes sense, right? We've got lots of ammo. We've got some banners here. Make sure his companions, as usual, a lot of these characters from campaigns, the guys don't seem to want to use their banners, which is perplexing to me, right? You've got these banners that make a tremendous difference to your units here, and he's just not using them. So, this is a regular old archer here. We'll look for a few of these. I don't want to spend too long before we even get going in this campaign, but in such a disastrous situation here, especially choosing not to save scum with these episodes, I want to at least try to set up a few of his units here so that when we do find combat, we're going to have success. And I think that's going to be the answer, the key to this campaign is success through battle. This guy's going to have to fight his way back to success. Now, his companions aren't terrible. I see some scrubs as far as overall companions, but a few of them are pretty good, right? These are some good stats. 150 bow skill this gal's got, and this guy, you know, he's a horse archer. Now, this is the worst look I've ever seen a character have, and I gotta be honest, if I was the enemy, if I saw that guy on the other side, it would make me want to attack the other side. I would just know that their army is full of dipshits, so not thrilled about that. And he's got a pylon, a legendary pylon. Not thrilled about that either. Let's go ahead and at least do this. A one-handed pylon. We can throw some better armor on the guy. All right, that's about enough for these guys here. I'm not going to sell any more of the loot here, just because we might need more money at some point. Although, what in the fuck is this? This guy's got another one of these people. They do just a two-handed polearm on a sumpter horse. So at least then your character can charge with their two-handed polearm. He's got a bunch of polearm skill. I don't know how. I guess he's been riding around on his sumpter horse with his legendary courser lance. All right, so we've made a few changes here. we've had a few jokes at Jacob's. Motherfucker, did I just fucking change everything back? Don't tell me I just did that shit. I did. God damn it. You know what? Fuck it. This first episode, we're going to go without that because we're not save scumming for these. I don't do these twice, and I don't want to bore the fuck out of you guys. Let's just figure out a plan here right away. He's got 32 troops. I need to call at least 1 or 2 armies. He is so vulnerable. Now, of course, they're days away. What else can we do? We can create parties. We've got to get food. That's got to be priority number 1. There's nobody close at all. This really is a treacherous situation to try to get through. You can see he can only really call that 1 person to his army. So we're down to almost no influence. Let's make some companion armies here. We're gonna take a lot of the troops in the garrison. That's just a necessary function of this, right? We're gonna take a good chunk of these troops. I know it looks like we're going to be encumbered and losing troops left and right, but they're injured right now. They cannot defend, and there's no food in the city. So there's no point in leaving these guys there because obviously they will just continue to starve. We have to change something. We've got to do it fast, and I'm aware that I may be losing some of you guys here just to the monotony, the strange part of this early episode. So I'm just going to dump a bunch of troops onto this character, and there's a couple reasons this works. The first is that they heal, right? Your companions will heal these troops, and they actually, in some cases, they do it faster than your main character, which doesn't make sense, but they will do so. They will actually borrow food from your main character. I know that seems, again, kind of bizarre. He has no companion armies at all. He's probably hardly used his companions as far as armies, right? Because they have almost no steward skill, almost no medicine skill, etc., etc. Now we can do a little bit of a test, in fact, here. Let's just do this kind of quicker. I think that works. 102. This guy's got 83 guys. His main character's got 101 injured units. And what's nice about this is these guys can be recruited for free. Bang, bang. And very quickly, right, we now have... about 300 troops. They're all injured, but our army at least is going to start healing. Now, what are we going to do here? We're going to get food, and we're going to do it the old fucking fashioned way. We're going to take it. We're going to go to enemy villages here and say, we would love to buy all your food. Then when they bring it out, we're like, no. Then you pull your knife out and you're like, actually, go get all of your food. Go into your fields. We're going to watch you get it all, harvest it all, and bring it over here, or we're going to kill your family. And it's basically what we're going to do here, right? Right in here, give us your goods, right? Force peasants to give us your goods. Actually, wait, let's see. We want to buy their shit first. I don't know if this actually matters, which order you do this in, but hostile action, give us your goods. These fucks are going to attack us. This first battle, we're going to fight villagers. And I'm sure you guys didn't sign up for an episode of fighting villagers, but I wanted to fix this before we got into more battles. Usually it transfers over with the captains assigned to divisions, but I just realized what happened here. His army got captured, so none of his captains are in divisions, and it looks like Jacob has been struggling along with 4 divisions. You guys out there can do that, right? But if you're watching Tactical Enlightenment, more than likely, a lot of you fellas are using, 2, 3, 4 different extra divisions. I mean, of course you're using 4, but I mean like 6, 7, 8 divisions. Because the bottom line is if you can control reasonably well, like 5 or 6 divisions, you are doing much better than the guy who's only controlling a couple divisions, right? There's a major difference in the overall impact your army makes. And this very quick breakdown here that I've done for his army should have more success than how Jacob is doing it. Let's see. Let's do an infantry division there. And again, we're fighting villagers here, but I just wanted to get this set up because we're going to have to do it anyways in this episode. I should mention that this is probably going to be 2, 3, 4 episodes. Let's see. We've got a little bit of a ridge there. Unfortunately for villagers, they have a nasty tendency to come right at us. It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? If you're attacking a village, you should have to come to them, which would give them an advantage. Now that they're close, we can attack. I'm not really too focused here, of course. It's villagers, right? We're going to be able to smash these guys. Oh, you know what? At least I have to change back her axe, right? We're going to change her equipment at a minimum. We can actually speed through this with the RTS mod, right? Smash a few fucks here. And we did lose one unit there, but that doesn't really matter, right? The big key here is these fucks are now going to go to their hovels and pull out all their food. You know what? We're going to take these bitches prisoner. Come with us for resisting us, right? In fact, we're going to put some needles under their fingernails. We're going to roleplay here a little bit that we're still Jacob playing this, and we're going to be a ruthless, despicable, despot tyrant. Because that's evidently what he was doing here, right? He was just going through with a scythe, just mowing down all the enemy nobles. This guy was being very, very naughty, but I actually dig it. I like it. Like, this guy's playing the game how he wants to, and good for him, right? That's great. Let's go ahead and give her this shit, right? Let's give her extra damage. She might have survivability issues. She needs some boots, for one thing. Doesn't have any boots. But at least she's got a better axe. And I can't help but just take this moment to chuck a couple banners on here. The banners are so important, right? It's 10, 15% reduction in damage. The difference of that over the course of a large battle is enormous, right? You're talking 10, 15, 20% less casualties, right? This kind of thing is just essential in the game. All right, so we've got a little bit of food, but that was hardly that profitable, right? We need to go now to some of these other locations here. We need to go... All of these villages are up for grabs, so to speak, to Jacob and his little army here. Now, we're still healing, and a lot of people might sit in the city, but I'm in a hurry here. We're going to play... Oh, shit. We're going to play this with our hair on fire, and we almost get captured here. This motherfucker's bearing down on us, and I don't think we can take on a force of 235. Of course, they're coming here to defend the little village that we just hammered. In fact, I saw more forces, I think, out of the tail of my eye. Some people say it's supposed to be the corner of my eye. They used to say out of the tail of your eye. What do we do here? Let's see. There's still zero food, of course, in the city. All our villages are smoking. That's why you have zero, too, right? All your villages are fucking smoking. There's no food there if it's all burned out. I think we can fight them in the open, but let's stall just a little bit here, right? So we can get a little healthier. I mean, oh shit, there's another army behind him. Now there's looters. Each little minute we run here, we get healthier. In fact, I know this map up here, there's water usually. If we can get to a location where there's water right before sunset, I think we can pull this battle off. Now, this is risky, right? Because this other army is very likely to come in behind them.
Respect the terms.
Yeah, there's no parley here later. Give us your food. Now, the other reason I'm doing this is because they're going to have food. And I know... Oh shit, we fought that first battle with these reduced difficulty settings. Sometimes guys have lower difficulty. Again, we're not going to denigrate anybody here. Jacob's, he's doing the best he can. And if you're getting, kind of knocked around in your campaign, fucking lower the difficulty, right? Like the guys who are, oh, no, you're playing with lower difficulty? What a bitch. Hell no, fellas, right? Like, we're here to have fun. If you guys are having a hard time, turn that shit down, right? Now, increased mount movement speed. No, I want more damage. And let's fight this fucking force here. Let's do this shit. Bannerlord difficulty. Let's do some tactics here. I'm fucking rubbing my hands together, the proverbial excited, because I dig this shit, right? We're basically, our backs are to the walls here. We've got an odd position in this battlefield to fight, but I still think we can make it work. I'm trying to think of what I want to do here. They're attacking us, so we have the luxury of basically setting up where we want. Look at it down here, right? If I put archers, if I put horse archers, I think we can funnel these fucks through these little rocks. We will assault them on multiple sides here, do some other devious shit to them, and hopefully live happily ever after. Now, we need to be successful with this battle, and I don't mean like just barely victory. I mean, we need to be significantly successful because there's another army probably behind them, and the worst part about it is they're very likely to attack us at night. That's highly disadvantageous for us in this situation. So, let's jam up these little ways here. Let's see. I think I'm going to position over here. I've got some shock troops, right? I didn't really look too closely at his army. Not really. He doesn't really even have any shock troops here. There's a few. There's a few javelin guys there. What about our square? Can we make a square here with one of his infantry divisions? I mean, it's a tiny square. They all have javelins too. All right, so change of heart. We're going to turn these cavalry boys into a square. Let's take these guys and turn them into Javcav, our 8th Corps. We're going to switch commanders here. This 2nd Cav division I'm going to use on defense, right? We're going to actually give them a few more troops. 4th, 5th, we're going to wrap around archers, kind of blindsided to the enemy archers so that as they come into our little valley here, they're just shot to pieces. I can't really move down here very well. but I think this has a pretty good chance of working here. And he's got a big slow axe, right? It's going to be slow, but I think it's still going to be effective. Now they have cavalry, right? So what I want to do is use this cavalry first, right? We're going to bring them up here. I'm going to bring the 8th Cavalry also up here. We're going to put them and just jam them in there. We're going to have them hold fire though. They probably have a few javelins, right? Because we assigned them throwing weapons. Now we're going to put archers down here. Skirmishers ahead of them, and the rest of the infantry basically in a line. And I know it's kind of unorthodox. We're essentially going to be using our infantry, all of them, to attack. Right, once this cavalry is up there, we're going to shield wall them so they tighten up and put all those horses into a nice knot there. I'm doing that because I don't want the cavalry to come trucking through here and smash our archers. Right? In fact, I want to tighten these guys even more so that these rock walls kind of buttress our defense. Right, we're making almost like a castle defense out of this situation. Now, there's very few javelin guys in his army. I kind of thought there was more. I think what's going on is I think they're injured. He's got a lot of troops that are injured. And I think he has like Vanguard Ferris and stuff like that. And we want to hold fire with the 2 archer divisions early on here because it looks like they have 1 horse archer coming over that ridge. All right, so the idea here, of course, is to now dismount these guys. Right, this 2nd division turns into a defensive square. I'm going to try to kill this horse archer herself. Anytime you have one guy like this, especially if he's out in front of everybody, fucking lop these guys' head off, right? He literally took his head right off. Nice and easy on the first stroke. This gal, evidently, he's got a pretty good two-handed skill, right? It's going to be successful. We can smoke him some with bows and arrows. Wow, she can't reload on a horse. I was mashing the button there to no effect. All right. Are they coming around that flank? Maybe. Let's back up the 8th Corps just a little bit here. In case they do, they look like they might. 4th and 5th can now be told to open fire. Let's put the 2nd Corps right behind the horses. That way, those guys are sort of penned up on those troops. They want to back this infantryman up. They'll get some cavalry through for sure. Right? We can help here on the edges of it. And the idea here, of course, is to concentrate the enemy, make a big pile of the enemies there between our 2 different cav divisions. The horses help slow down some of the enemy troops. I've got to be careful with this character. Right? A lot of times I get a little overzealous with these guys, thinking, you know, that they're one of my normal characters I play, and they're not. They're anything but. I don't know what kind of capacity she's going to have to fight. The key here is we're doing damage at range. Now we charge with the 3 infantry divisions, right? And you're just kind of hoping that collectively that concentrated attack combined with archers is enough to really hold the enemy back. Now their archers are trying to shoot. A lot of them are like right at the edge of the ridge here. So we'll teach them a good lesson here. Have some of that, you bitches. And the death spam looks pretty good. It doesn't look great, but pretty good. I would say that's overall going to net a positive result. We can help with some of the cavalry in here now that they're stood up and can't move. There's infantry down here fighting. I want our archers to charge too at this stage. You want every single guy. In fact, that 2nd division I'm going to charge with too. And the key here is concentrated fire, defense initially to distract. And, of course, keeping their archers back of that ridge. Look at their archers. A lot of them are back here. They can't shoot at all. These guys are desperately trying to find line of sight, and there isn't much, right? They're getting knocked around. Looks good. The death spam looks good. They got a lot of heavy cavalry, though, so I'm going to bring our infantry all together here towards the center. And we're basically trying to concentrate our forces so that whatever's left of their cavalry has to kind of get through a big chunk of our forces. I'm going to charge with our horse archers, or more accurately engage. Right, that's the old... Actually, the archers are right here. Charge these boys down. That's right, C shooting, because we charge. And we should be getting skill points, right? Like for his two-handed ability. We're racking up some kills, cutting off some heads. That was a level, right? I think that was his character. Now, she cannot shoot. I'm holding the button. She will not reload. So there's a character spec that this guy's missing. I don't know what it is. I'm not a crossbow guy. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of guys out there that are snickering. I thought you're good at this game. I'm not. I'm good at tactics. And good enough, though, that we can have a YouTube channel here, hopefully entertain you fellows, and hopefully have success. Now, this counts as success, right? That's not a blowout victory by any means. but it's a significant victory, and it's going to allow us to fight this second army if they engage. They may not engage. There's a pretty good chance they engage. And then, of course, take all their food, take their lunch money. We're going to kick sand in their face while they're down, because Jacob's character here, you know, he's a despicable fuck. Now, I don't know why this battle's still going. It looks like there's one fuck or something like that won't die here or something like that. We can work on this gal's timing here. Is that? I can't really tell. It's, thank goodness you have the RTS for shit like this, right? You got 3 enemies left or whatever it is. And if you're on vanilla, man, this is just a painful experience. We're not, though, and so we can blaze along here. Let's just do the scoreboard watching here. Why are there 9 troops left? Their archers are 900 units away. Well, at least we're getting skill points out of it. We didn't lose any companions. I should turn companion deaths off, but I have a bad habit of just flying into battle without doing that. But this is what we wanted to see here, right? Not just victory, but over half our force is alive. And a bunch of skill points to boot. That's going to allow us to make a stand against this other army if they attack us. I sure hope they don't. And this is a real pain in the ass here, because if I auto-resolve, we'll suffer a lot of losses. So as much as this is boring, we're just going to do the old F1, F3. This is good advice for newer players here. Like, it's very tempting to just to simply auto-resolve this. And they do have cavalry, which are likely to inflict at least a few casualties, but you're going to suffer way more losses here auto-resolving this kind of a battle than you will by fighting it out. And I know it's, you know, it's kind of painful that we have to do this. It's sort of bullshit, right? Because they all ran, and now suddenly they're fighting again. It's a strange mechanic. In fact, my character's getting shot and shit like that. Take it out on some of these guys here. Take out some anger. Maybe we'll execute at least one Northern Empire fuck here, just to stay in character with Jacob and his campaign. Right? He's running through Calradia, shortening nobles. That was the term they used in the French Revolution. When they wanted to behead people, they would say they're shortening nobles. And there, right, 2 injuries. I guarantee if we auto-resolve that, and of course we've done plenty of testing, you suffer like 10 or 15 casualties. If this other army attacks, we can't afford that, right? Not to mention, this campaign just sort of restarted. Now, we have no prisoners, so I'm going to take sort of a bevy of troops here. I like to take 1 or 2 of each, because in my experience, if you have sort of a wide array of troops, you know what? We'll fucking take looters. We need every fucking troop we can get right now. In fact, I'll take a few more of these prisoners here. I would love to have a few of these guys by the end of the episode. I did try to mention that at some point. I interrupted myself. I'm famous for that. Any food? You guys got any food? And some food, right? It's not very much, but we'll take every sack of grain at this stage. We're already getting autosave? I wonder if he's got his settings for the autosave set a lot lower. Now, this guy, it's like he got all excited. Or maybe he was going to join their army, and now he's like, fuck that shit, right? That's not going to work. I just saw 2 armies get destroyed. Now, what happened here? Okay, that's the Khazate winning a battle, evidently, against the Sturgeons. And holy shit, we got some fucking problems going on here. All right, what the fuck do we got going on here? Oh, shit. We got fucking problems. Well, what the fuck do we got going on here? The garrison is banged up. We've got a militia force there. We've got 129 troops. This guy's likely to chase us. Now, what happened to I called an army. I guess they got captured, right? We've got some influence again. 1 day, 21 hours. How far away are you? We'll take you. We need these armies down here. We just got to call some armies, and we just picked up some influence. But I'm going to have to run here. Fortunately, it's a smaller army. Although it looks like there's other armies behind it. That's bad. This is a gnarly scenario, right? He's getting sieged here by 1,500. We're getting chased. Fuck off. Our capital's being besieged. About the only thing that you can say is good is that it's going to take a little while for those 2 armies to siege. We will sneak inside. Right? We will be able to sneak inside. 207 defenders. It's a level 1 city, but a lot of cities, I'm trying to remember Vostrum. I vaguely remember the layout for Vostrum. What I mean by that is, I kind of remember that it has sort of a very standard layout. It has, sort of your typical 2 or 3 stairways coming down the main chute here. Are they already sieging? They are. Son of a bitch. Do they even have... These motherfuckers don't even have a siege ladder. Do we have these guys nearby? They're a day and a half away. We got to get in. All right, let me see here. That other army fucked off. 1,500. We have 0 siege weapons, right? So they did like a super accelerated siege assault here. It's 1,500 troops. We have 187. It's sort of worth it to heal, but it's happening really slowly. Now, how about our companion army? See, remember I said they heal faster? Look at this shit. We've got tons of injured still, and they have 8 wounded. So, we're just going to give them a few more here. There's still daylight left into that. I don't want to fight at night. So what I'm going to do here is donate another 14 troops. In fact, let's do it this way. If you inspect their troops, of course, your own companions, you can tell me, give me your troops. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give them some more of our injured troops here, because I think even in a few hours, due to the strange nature of this system, these units will heal. I wish I had a lot more archers in our army. I think the Citadel maybe has some. Okay, so 93. That's probably going to be about it. So 43 injured. Now let's just sit here, right? We're just going to sit here for an hour or two. A couple of good things are happening. They are being worn down, right? 1,500. Although we have the strength in AI mod. 1,500. 188. I want to see our army heal up like another 5 or 10. We just got 12, right? So maybe we do one more little tick. Or do we do it tomorrow morning? Let's see. 173. I'm gonna heal some. It's a judgment call. It's very much a judgment call. If I wait till morning, the city will probably still survive. I kind of know the timing of how this goes, but it's only militia and they're defending. It's really unique because the enemy has no ram here, and in my experience with this, they rush immediately to the ladders and try to siege. This is going to be one of the more unique siege defenses we've tried here. Now this doesn't really matter. This is kind of an example. I've got another skill point. Let's pump athleticism. I still think that's what you want to be doing at this stage. Let's break in here. This could be fatal, right? We obviously have a very small defense force, but with some siege skill here, just maybe we can pull this off. And obviously this would be critical. If we get captured here, who knows? I might execute your wife too, because you're out there executing people, Jacob. It's a bad situation, no matter how you look at this. Speaking of looking at this, there is good news, is that this courtyard layout is pretty defendable. Ladder, 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 ladder. Right now, the enemy does tend to come towards the center of the citadel. In other words, some people think you have to defend all 5 of these locations, all 4 of these ladders, and the main gate. I don't think you need to do that, but we will be prepared to do that if we need to. Now, we're going to use all 8 divisions here. That might be overkill because we could probably just do 2 or 3 big, long archer divisions. In fact, let's try something a little different because of that. Right? We have this very compacted courtyard. We have a couple of pretty good companions with nice banners, right? So what we're going to do here is we are going to do what I was just saying. Even though I said we're not going to do that, we are going to do it. The 8th Corps, I'm going to use this as a critical sort of keep-saving division. Those guys are going to be with a nice companion, decreased taken melee attack damage. Actually, I got to have her in the 1st division. I know my mind is changing on the fly here, right? So 1st division at the gate, and look at his scrubby ass militia in there. We're going to change that. These guys have to be the strongest of all the different defenders. So look at that now, right? There's a really nice division in there. In fact, I want this 8th division also to be elite, but have javelins. And what that does is it leaves the square at the gate now, mostly guys that don't have javelins. That's going to give us a nasty javelin division here. So let's put them opposite of that square in a shield wall. So it looks something like that. And all these Vanguard Ferris can be part of the assault let's see, how do we do this? On that square, right? They're going to chuck a lot of javelins into that square. Let's actually do it like this. This is dual purpose. Now these guys guard the stairway, and they chuck javelins in there, and they stay out of the way of our archer division here. Because we're going to use his main character with a bunch of archers, even though there's militia in there, and the lining of it is kind of a mess there. Let's see if we can't configure that so it looks a little better. We'll probably have to tinker with that after the battle starts because these little flags are getting in the way. All right, so 5th, 6th, 7th. It doesn't matter too much which division stands where. We just want these archers back a bit from the gate and kind of spread out back here, right? You want them covering kind of every angle so the majority of them can shoot. That's the most critical thing. And then obviously the next most critical thing is that they're far enough away to not draw aggro. Now we're going to use these little weak divisions at these other locations here, right? So I have this 2nd division is incredibly beefy. In fact, there's too many guys in there. Are there archers in there? A lot of times that happens. Sure looks like it. There are, right? You can see archers in there. This is a really good tip too for a lot of guys, and I know I'm taking forever for this episode and this battle. This division has archers in it, and that is because either this guy, he has bow skill, or the AI normally puts archers in that 2nd division. You want to reset it. Even though that's going to fuck up some of your other divisions temporarily, it's worth it. Right. All right, so that's 2nd division. Same thing we did with the 8th, right? We're kind of putting it, and that's an example of how the division got knocked out of order. We're going to put them both up there. The 1st division has elite units, so it's going to have the highest degree of survivability. The 4th is over here in a nice square. The 7th is back there in a big spray. The 6th is back there in a big spray. The 5th division is going to be massive. In fact, you could really argue that's why you want to have 4 archer divisions, because there's so many archers in that division that's kind of messy. And we should have 1 more infantry division, right? My math is pretty good. 1, 2, 3. All right, so the 3rd division doesn't have a job. We can put them all the way over here. Don't actually want them up there because I don't want the enemy attacking them, but we can put them there as an auxiliary square. If we need to shove them somewhere, we can do that. Now, you assign your captains that have like increased range damage. This guy right here, he goes to an archer division, right? The guys who are going to help your archers kill, right? You put those guys onto critical divisions. The rest of them, you just kind of put them somewhere and hope. Decreased take and ranged attack damage, that's not really relevant here, right? We don't have any people getting shot at, right? There might be some javelin action, but that's it. And this is it, right? This is our full setup. We're ready to go here. You cross your fingers here, Jacob, that we don't get your main character executed. You hold fire, oops, with the 8th division. You hold fire because that's your javelin division. Actually, I want them... I think that's going to work. Where are you going, Jagoff? Who said you could go over there? Okay. Now, here's a problem. Look at the fucking archers all the way back to the citadel. I want these guys closer. So over here, the enemy's unlikely to aggro them, right? So I've got... Let's see, this 5th division I'm actually going to move, and I'm going to put them compacted in there where they're much closer to the enemy. You wouldn't want to do that over here because the AI units might aggro those units. So what I'm actually going to do over here is tighten up the 6th division and put it right here. That should maximize the amount of guys there that are shooting. I know there's 1,000 different concepts that are all happening in this battle, but this kind of shit is necessary. If you're going to win a battle like this, we still may lose, right? The odds of us losing this battle are significant. Ordinarily, you want to be in spread, but here, because this courtyard is so tight, I would recommend line formation. You can even argue for shield wall. In fact, let's just see what it looks like. We'll see what those guys, how well they shoot. The key thing here is the distance, right? There has to be good distance. I don't want the horse to stay there. Go on, boy. Between your square and where the archers are, right? That's the most essential thing. I'm watching those guys to see if they take the back door. This infantry division may become essential. In fact, we're going to press it against the wall here. Anytime you got a shield wall pressed against the wall, those guys will do a pretty good job. Now, your job here, of course, is just to monitor for problems with your defense. Eventually, the gate is going to be the biggest problem. They're going to surge in. Now this, what division is this? Notice the shields. We want those guys shooting. Tell them line formation and stop almost in the same breath, right? You need to be quick with your keys. And now almost every guy there is shooting. The guys in the back can't shoot, right? Because there's so many archers there. Nothing we can do about that. Now the enemy's trying to rally units at the different locations to come down, right? Down here they're actually straight attacking. I don't think you want to come into this keep there, but end your life against the wall. Now, this is behavior here. You know what they're trying to do? I just remembered. They don't have a fucking ram. So this 1st division, that whole time, a few of you were probably watching like, they don't have a ram, dude. You still think they have a ram. They don't have a ram. So what the AI is forced to do here is try to get to the gate to open the door, which they're probably not going to do very easily given our defense structure. We've got this 1st Division there, and Elite 8th Division guarding over there. Look at this guy here. He's looking around like, what are we doing? I don't understand what this commander's doing. Trust me, it's working so far. You just stand there. Over there, they're kind of trickling down. Now, the AI is trying to get to the door. In fact, look at this guy. He got to the door. I'm not terrified about this door being open. If they do open this door at some point and the enemy pours in, we'll deal with it. Right? This defense structure is still designed right now to be able to handle that main door being open. Until that happens, though, right, we just fire away, right? Anybody comes up, you raise your hand to swing at our units, you get shot in the face, right? That is our defensive structure for this siege defense. Now, they are rallying way over there. You see that, those fuckers over there? Once the enemy gets a ton of troops up here, they will charge, right? And so this division right here might become essential. What I'll probably do if they do that is move them close in a shield wall. Basically try to clog it up so that they can't get through and get to our archers or the door. Right now, the AI is completely sort of mystified, obsessed with getting to that door, because it understands that if it can't get to the door, it's going to have a very hard time here. So what is our job, of course, is to prevent them from getting to the door. Now, occasionally they're getting to the door, and they got to the door there, but you can usually close the door, right? You don't want to destroy the door. Usually you can get up to that door and then close it. Not always. And like I said, right, this defense should still succeed even if they get to the door. But if I can close it, I'm going to close it. Right, it gets highlighted there, and then we can close that fucker. Besides that, I kind of think the enemy's fucked here. Now, it might be, a long siege. I might have to tell you guys a few anecdotal stories from history. But even a player would be in a real bad way here. Right? Because the bottom line is to rally troops up there. As they rally them, they get shot. When they charge, they run into fucking roadblocks. We've got multiple divisions jamming everything up for them. If they don't charge, right, if they just come down 2 at a time, they get whatever happened to that guy, right, that happens to them. Now they are slowly destroying this militia over here. You see them kind of starting to compress to the middle here as the militia, they end up on their face. These guys are not going to be able to handle high-end troops. So you need to be able to split your units, right, using the F3, F5. I'm not going to do it yet, but I'm watching this 4th Division, right? Oops, shit. Didn't want that. Go back in the square. But besides that, I can just fast forward this. I forgot I have this little option here. We can make things a little bit faster for you fellas. I think this fucking siege is secure. If the enemy doesn't build a ram, they're kind of fucked. The reason they're doing that is because the way the AI defends, if the other AI, even if they don't have a ram, the way the AI defends, this siege is over. The attackers just sweep through the city, taking what they want and setting fire to the rest, right? It's over in like 3 minutes because they make it to the door. They keep the door open permanently. They get a blowout somewhere, and this keep siege ends with you in the dungeon, right? With this defensive structure, though, I think I have the luxury of just moving this almost fast to speed, right? We can just sit here and cruise. I'm watching the deaths, man. If there's 3, 4, 5 deaths, I will reassess. But these guys trying to rally up there, they've got kind of some forces rallying on that far side over there. They can have a few crossbow bolts as well. In fact, we're trying to get this character's crossbow skill to the point where she can shoot from the horse. Right? I don't know the perks very well for crossbow, and so I imagine maybe you got to get to 200-300. Now this militia division is having problems. So what we're going to do here is actually borrow from the 1st. The 1st isn't doing anything. Those are our best troops. We're going to bring those guys over here so that these militia know help is on the way. Literally. Oh, you get hit accidentally by that guy. Nothing worse than that shit. You're not even trying to hit me. He's trying to hit the guy next to me. It fucking drills me. Alright, so that division is now reinforced with the 2nd Division. Much stronger there. These guys are slowly kind of poking a hole through these militia here. Right? But it's pretty slow, and the death rate, in fact, I rarely do this during normal episodes on the channel, but let's do it right now. 34 deaths, or casualties for us, and 450 for the enemy. We'll take that, right? That's almost a 12, 13 to 1 kill ratio, and we're outnumbered 5 to 1 here. So we're more than adequately defending this keep, right? The enemy's coming down and they're running into these roadblocks. And a lot of guys are like, oh, you're just exploiting it. That's cheese. Guess what? A player would be stagnant in the same situation, right? There might be advanced tacticians out there that might try running feints and other stuff. They might try to get archers behind these shields and apply pressure to us or something like that. They might go to the gatehouses, right? There's things they would go get rocks from the gatehouse. In fact, I think we'll level up her throwing skill a little bit here. I got to be careful not to get killed. And in fact, I'm going to continue to boost that 4th division. That seems to be where the pressure is the greatest. But even most players would be in a bad way here. And here's another tip too: this AI is not gonna sit here and fight for to the last man. When they get butchered this badly, the AI gives up. They route easier, right? The AI is basically a numerical system. Most computer AIs are going to be a numerical analytical system. When the AI experiences a 15 to 1 kill ratio for half of their army, which is, we're approaching that point here, they will give up. They will say, fuck this shit, I'm taking my ball and going home. And that is imminent here. I think in the next 3 to 5 minutes here, especially since they just mowed down that pathetic lord. He was over there having a philosophical moment. He can have one now in a dream while he's unconscious. Recruits are coming up now. That's not a good sign for the enemy. And this siege is over. I'm not normally going to say that unless I'm certain it's over. And look at this shit, right? Our little archer configuration here. These guys in a shield wall. That shit worked, right? These guys, not everyone is shooting. By the way, you can do this. This little crossbowman can't shoot. If you really want to be proficient, give them a little bit of space. You can move these guys around like Play-Doh and shit like that. And eventually that crossbowman's like, oh, boss, now I can see, now I can shoot, right? Sometimes you can actually nudge these guys forward and be like, now you can shoot, right, you stupid dipshit. Fucking stupid dipshit. Fucking pay more attention next time and catch one right in the fucking face. Oh! Now he can't shoot, right? He's shoved back there. He's like, oh, what was that? Right, these units are malleable. If you've never known that before in a campaign, or maybe you think that's stupid, it is what it is, right? Of course they should move to where there's an opening, but it is what it is. The AI and Tailworlds, for sure, never anticipated people defending castles like this, right? Because otherwise they would have programmed something else in. Now, it's not that they have no kills. they can't defeat this defense structure. Like I said, this is just so thoroughly difficult to defeat. It's kind of like, I don't know a good analogy. It's just not a situation you can win against. Okay, we just basically have to watch for a major breach here. I'm going to keep it at maximum speed. I could go up in there and try to get some stones, but I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm actually tempted to open the front gate. What do you guys think? Should we add some drama to this shit? We can break this shit and then open the other gate here, and I think the enemy will start to come in. And then you guys can get some drama in this episode, or maybe you guys don't give a shit. Fucking asshole shooting at me. I still don't think it's going to happen, right? Because these guys face the same onslaught. Now again, the big difference here is that square. You're shoving that into that hole if things start to get ugly there, right? You're going to close the door in that situation. Guys do ask sometimes, I made a square and the enemy poured right through. What do I do? Well, one thing you do for sure, and these guys can throw their javelins, right? These guys have been very diligent. One thing you can do for sure in that situation is just shove the square right in front of the gate. Do this. And it doesn't close the gate, but those guys make it way harder for the enemy to get in. Right? Basically, it makes a very, very difficult... you physically can't get through is the best way to put it. See how I'm trying to push through and I can like barely move and shit? The same thing happens to the AI here. Now we'll let them kill a few, right, just so that they come back next time. Just so that, almost like the casino. The casino always lets you win, like once every 6 visits. There's a reason that people win jackpots at casinos. It's necessary for them to come back. All games are like that. It's part of the gambling psychosis, right? They want to make you think that you could beat the system or somehow you're the lucky one who's going to get rich. And in reality, like all the other suckers, you just end up going broke, right? It's the system is designed to give you just enough dopamine to come back next time. That way you lose more money to the casino. Better not do this shit at the very end here at maximum speed and get butchered. But I think you guys more than understand what the enemy's happening here. By the way, you're in this kind of situation. Oh, shit. I think I might have saved it. Nope. Well, we are going to get a little bit of a test here at the end. Let's see how this works. These guys... The squares have, and this is actually fine, demonstration at the end of this episode. I still think, fortunately it happened at like the very end of the episode here. We're going to make squares. We're going to turn these infantry into squares, right? You saw I divided them. And all we want to do here is just jam these guys up the stairs. If they start to come from that direction, we'll adjust. There's a few guys coming. Here with the archers, of course, we're just spreading them out so that they're all over in the courtyard. And I think there's enough forces here that it's not going to matter. This 8th Corps, I'm actually going to charge. Right? You can charge with like one division. Second division. Shove them up the stairs. If you have a bunch of enemies in the keep, it's okay to shove the doors closed, kind of at all the places where there's a breach, and then charge with 1 or 2 divisions. And what that does is those units will go along and mow down anything. Look at this guy, he's like, someone's shooting us. I gotta kill this fucker. No, you're not, dude. You know, basically it cleans out your problem. You can think of these troops here in the square. Those are the holes you patch in your house to make sure that you don't get any more mice in there. Let's shoot that guy in the air. And then the rest of the units, of course, that are attacking, they're the ones, those are your cats, killing all the mice, right? And then no more mice in your house, right? Just like this keep siege, no more troops inside your keep. This guy's got 87 arrows in the shield. The carcasses are falling down here. It's fucking great. And I think even with the snafus, even with me getting cocky, even with me opening the door, it still doesn't matter. And I like this actually because it illustrates several different things all in the same keep siege. You guys get to see how to defend a keep. You guys get to see how to handle a situation where your character goes down. By the way, of course, if you do this without the RTS mod, you're fucked, right? Because all of a sudden the AI takes over, it does horrific stuff, and the enemy celebrates because they just truck all your forces. What I did there, the commands I did was F2, F1, which is line formation, because units won't respond to you if they're like in scatter or whatever. And you will feel this, you will notice they will just run off and do whatever the fuck they want. So I did line formation, all units line formation, and all units stop immediately, right? Just a very quick F2, F1. Sorry, dude. F2, F1. Although Argyle's happy, right? We win. And then the second command after F2, F1 is F1, F6, stop. And of course, that's all units, right? So you're hitting a lot of buttons at once. I'm a 120 words per minute typist, so for me, it's not too difficult. And the music victory is playing here now. I saw something I love. Tell me you did it. Fuck yeah, dude. I love these resourceful fucking legionnaire. He's like, I'm bruised, I'm bloodied, my shield is broken, but I found a perfectly dead enemy that's willing to give me his shield. It's fucking beautiful. Now I'm going to try to speed up the rest of this siege. This whole episode is taking way longer than I anticipated. This mini-series, and that's what we're going to call these, is probably going to be 3 episodes now. I was hoping it would be 2, but this siege became so interesting, and of course it's so critical that we win this. And we have won this. It's just a matter now of the enemy realizing that. Look at this fucking pile of bodies. And my character disappears in the pile of bodies. The enemy's so desperate now, they're starting to send archers and poke some of these guys in the face. His character has some really weird weapons. Like I said, this guy I think is using a pylon, which is only a spear. This is not advisable, but neither is the AI sending archers through the gateway with no shooting. These guys are just getting fucking smoked. Some recruit runs up with this scythe above him in the air. I'm gonna fuck you up, man. No, I don't think so, man. You can see, this is actually a really good way to see how weak your characters are with the weapons they have, right? You have the RTS mod, take over for a guy and watch how weak they are with their weapon. These spears, the bottom line is with the current non-RBM combat system, spears just suck, right? 19, 15. If you got a sword here, you're doing 40, 80, 90, or whatever it is, you're cutting heads off. It's not completely worthless, but it's almost worthless. And this is a two-handed spear, right? If you had a two-handed weapon, of course, you're one-shotting dudes. They're still fighting it out to the death here, which I'm actually okay with. Even though they're causing casualties here, it is going to give our units all a chance to upgrade. Right? Every single unit in the siege here is upgrading. the casualties are unfortunate because, of course, if you saw, there was a Northern Empire force right outside the door. Right? We're going to get attacked after this battle. So that's kind of suboptimal. But it kind of is what it is. Right? This is the campaign we're given. I don't want to, do a whole lot of editing and sort of skipping this process, right? Especially where guys are like, how did you get through that difficult part? Right? There's guys watching this that really want to see all the details. So, we may do disclaimers with this series. This fucking enemy, they're down to like 100 guys, 74 guys. Charge, everybody charge. Fuck you, enemy. And just swarm all their locations here. In fact, we'll do this. And we made a graveyard here, right? The AI's got some archers out here fighting to the last man. Maybe we'll do some executions after this battle here. And even though the main character went down, make sure she didn't die. Wouldn't that be a fucking tragedy? Nobody died. We advance, right? A whole ton of skill points, of course, for the companions because we took over or they shot. Look at this guy, got 44 kills, 27 kills. And amazingly, the enemy doesn't rout. They have one guy left. It actually looks like they're stuck. Or they're just holding out to the last. Like they're in the gatehouse and our troops can't kill them. God, success, right? And this is, for some guys, these guides, these episodes can be a little bit game killing. Now, that's fun, admittedly. I've done that 150 times. The first time you're in one of these is not going to feel like that, right? You're going to have a lot more difficulty. You're not going to probably tiptoe through that quite as nimbly as we did there. But we barely had a third casualties here. We smashed an army of 1,500, even though half of our army, fully half of our army is militia. We did that with a pretty damn weak army. Yeah, of course, come with us, Southern Empire. I'm contemplating some executions, right? We want to continue role-playing for this guy here. I think we will take a head or two here, but it's the Northern Empire. That was the one he said in his email and Reddit message. Fuck the Northern Empire. This guy got executed by the Northern Empire, so we can have a little bloodlust against them. A lot of those prisoners are going to escape and probably waste their time here. Some upgrades. We'll get some nice good gear, but this is the one also I want. Look at this. Food. Right, this city badly needs food. In addition to some nice equipment here, we'll take the food. We're going to rain down some bread and circuses on the population here. And I think there's another siege coming, right? Because we have 324 defenders. I didn't go into here to talk about this at all. I am going to do this very briefly here at the end of the episode. You want to cancel all this shit that's going on, all this construction in 20 seconds. For those of you who don't know, you have your choice of basically doing one of these 12 building projects, right? Your dudes are running around with a hammer and a trowel, or the daily default. It says it down here. You must cancel all of your projects to have one of your daily defaults active. Now, here in this situation, for sure, we want train the militia. And look at that. It goes to +8, right? Suddenly, we're going to have more defenders at this city. Now, some guys would say, do food, right? Get increase of food. But it doesn't increase the city food. What it does is it increases your village growth, which in turn eventually gives you food. I think militia in this situation is more important, right? The loyalty is a little bit of a problem. This city is not in a great state, right? The citizens are definitely murmuring as they walk around the streets, but at least we're going to build it up secure with the militia. We're going to dump some food on the city. In fact, I'll do that right now. Actually, we're going to slaughter all of our animals. In a situation like this, your cows are hamburgers, right? Every single hog is bacon, and your sheep is mutton soup, right? We're going to put all of that into the city. We're going to give them most of our food because we're going to go and look for villages to get more food, right? That's numero uno at this stage. We've figured out his money situation, especially with all this loot. In fact, we can sell some of this loot here at the very end of this episode. But this is going to be the end of the first episode. This has been a lot longer than I expected, but we're on our way here, right? Jacob, we are going to have a couple more episodes, maybe 3, right? These episodes are very popular, and a lot of players struggle in instances like this. And this is a classic disastrous situation, right? Jacob, you're recovering from a really awful situation. So we will, look at that. There's a bunch of food items in there. I tend to keep this kind of stuff, by the way. I tend to keep that stuff because that helps you with your steward skill, right? So we'll keep the good food. We'll give the citizens a bunch of carbs and fish And we'll give them the meat too, right? That's good stuff for the citizens, although we want to keep a little bit of that. And I think that's enough for this first episode. So, city saved. We've got some food. Ironically, of course, we didn't make much progress, right? At the beginning of the episode, we started right here outside of Vostrom. We get another save, so that tells me for sure I have rambled on too long here. However, of course, this is going to be a multi-part series. If you want to see more from this series, you want to subscribe, I appreciate that. Hit that notify button, right? That way we know when new episodes come out. You don't want to miss it, right? And this is going to be an interesting recovery process here for Jacob. And of course, there's all kinds of other tactical and other guides for Bannerlord. If you want to submit your own difficult situation, just send it to the email in the video description. I look at all of them, and I have taken about 90% so far of the submissions. I've turned down a few that were too difficult, or most of them were like, okay, that's redundant. We've already done something like that. All right, friends, I appreciate you guys. Please hit that like button on the way out. And with all that said, friends, I will see you and Jacob next time.